What's going on, Vikings Nation? Welcome back to the channel where we break down the biggest Minnesota Vikings news, the hottest rumors, and everything happening around the Minnesota Vikings. And today, things are getting very interesting across the NFL because free agency chaos is shaking the league. And believe it or not, it could have a direct impact on the Vikings and their quarterback situation. There's drama, surprise trades collapsing, quarterbacks changing teams, and one rumor that has Vikings fans buzzing everywhere. The possibility of Kyler Murray entering the market and potentially becoming an option for Minnesota. And if that happens, what does it mean for McCarthy? So buckle up, Vikings fans, because today we're breaking down the winners, the losers, and the chaos of NFL free agency, and why this situation could put the Minnesota Vikings right in the middle of one of the most fascinating quarterback storylines in the league. And trust me, the part about McCarthy might surprise you. Let's start with the biggest headline shaking the league right now. Absolute chaos involving star pass rusher Max Crosby. For a few hours, it looked like one of the biggest trades of the offseason was about to happen, with the Baltimore Ravens preparing to acquire Crosby from the Las Vegas Raiders in exchange for 2 first-round draft picks. But then, out of nowhere, everything collapsed. Reports indicated that the trade was suddenly called off because of medical concerns related to Crosby's recovery from a torn meniscus. Imagine the shock across the league. Teams had already been making moves based on the assumption that the trade was happening. This kind of situation shows just how unpredictable NFL free agency can be. Front offices plan months ahead. Contracts worth hundreds of millions are negotiated. And then suddenly one medical report changes everything. It's a perfect reminder that, in the NFL, nothing is official until the ink is dry. Now, while the Crosby situation created chaos across the league, another storyline caught everyone's attention: the unexpected return of Geno Smith to the New York Jets. And Vikings fans, this one has a crazy twist. Smith originally started his career with the Jets after being drafted in 2013. His time there was rocky, including that infamous locker room incident that resulted in a broken jaw. But years later, after rebuilding his career with the Seattle Seahawks, he's now getting another opportunity in New York. What makes this move fascinating is that Smith returns as a completely different quarterback. He's now a respected veteran, a leader in the locker room, and someone capable of stabilizing an offense while a team looks toward its future quarterback. Speaking of young quarterbacks developing, let's talk about a player who benefited massively from his team's aggressive free agency moves: Drake May with the New England Patriots. The Patriots have been very active, trying to surround their young quarterback with better weapons and protection. One of their moves was bringing in wide receiver Romeo Doubs, who showed flashes of big play ability last season and could become a reliable target in the Patriots' offense. But the biggest addition might be along the offensive line with guard Elijah Vera Tucker. When healthy, he's one of the best pass-blocking guards in the NFL. And if he stays healthy, he could help fix the biggest issue the Patriots had last season: protecting their quarterback. And Vikings fans, that brings us to something that might actually affect Minnesota directly: the growing trend of veteran quarterbacks signing extremely cheap deals after being released by their previous teams. We've already seen Tua Tagovailoa quickly land with the Atlanta Falcons after leaving the Dolphins. Teams are realizing they can get starting-level quarterbacks for bargain prices if another franchise is still paying part of the salary. And that brings us to the name that has suddenly entered the Minnesota Vikings news conversation everywhere: Kyler Murray. Reports suggest Murray could soon be released, which means another team might be able to sign him for a very low salary while the Arizona Cardinals still handle most of his contract. And that has many analysts pointing toward one intriguing landing spot: the Minnesota Vikings. Now imagine that scenario for a second, Vikings fans. If Murray becomes available, Minnesota could potentially add a dynamic veteran quarterback without destroying their salary cap situation. That's a huge factor for a team that has been carefully managing its financial flexibility. But here's where the story gets complicated, because if Murray joins the Vikings, it would create immediate pressure on McCarthy. For the last couple of days, McCarthy has been hearing analysts across the NFL talk about how Murray would be a perfect fit for Minnesota's offensive system. That's not exactly the kind of conversation a young quarterback wants to hear while trying to establish himself as the starter. The Vikings have already made it clear they want competition at quarterback. But Murray wouldn't just be competition. He would be a serious challenger for the starting job if he arrives healthy and motivated. And let's be honest, Vikings fans. When Murray is healthy, he has looked like a franchise quarterback. We're talking about a player who has produced multiple seasons with more than 3,700 passing yards and incredible playmaking ability both in the air and on the ground. That's why this situation could turn into one of the most fascinating quarterback battles of the entire offseason. On one side, you have McCarthy, the young quarterback trying to prove he's the future of the Minnesota Vikings. On the other side, potentially, you could have Kyler Murray, a former #1 overall pick with elite athleticism and years of NFL experience. So now I want to hear from you, Vikings fans. This is a big question for the entire fan base. If the opportunity appeared for Minnesota to sign Kyler Murray at a very cheap price, would you want the Vikings to make that move? Or do you believe the team should fully commit to McCarthy and let him grow as the leader of this franchise without bringing in a veteran quarterback who could take the job away? Drop your thoughts in the comments because this debate is heating up across the entire Vikings community right now. And honestly, the next few days of free agency could completely change the direction of this conversation. If you enjoyed this breakdown of the latest Minnesota Vikings news, don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with other Vikings fans who want to stay updated on everything happening with the Minnesota Vikings. And stay tuned, because if the Kyler Murray situation develops, you can bet we'll be here immediately with another update for Vikings Nation. Skull, purple circle, yellow circle.